enough is enough.
Hey guys, welcome back to the No Holds Barred Network with another episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host as always, the EVP of Giggles, the Heartbreak Chick, the Queen of the Indies, Tiffany. And today's special guest, I feel so honored because we have an Emmy Award winner, Jon Alba. How are you?
That's right, you do. You got it right here. I got my beloved Erica right here for you, Tiffany.
I love it. I love it. I feel honored. You know, I was going to put like an Emmy on the layout, but I just figured I didn't need to do that because...
you got the whole copyright stuff to worry about.
Yeah.
No, listen, I appreciate you having me here. I know we've been trying to make this happen for a while, so it means a lot to me, and I'm excited to chat today.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Like, it's been a while, and we actually got to meet... we did a panel together on the Bob Culture podcast. We did an AEW panel. Shout out to Rob thank you for having us. Good guy. Conrad's in the chat. He goes, Jon Alba, this is huge. I love it. Yeah, so it's crazy. And then we actually got to meet once we started getting wrestling back again, which is great. So we got to meet in person. So again, like I said, I feel honored, and we've been like chatting ever since. So it's been great. So it's nice to have more people involved on the Under the Rope series that are all about independent wrestling, because that's what we do here on the Under the Rope series. Everything independent wrestling. We got covered between promoters, referees, wrestlers, anything behind the scenes with wrestling. I got you covered on the Under the Rope series here. So guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you have questions for Jon, drop them in the chat. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to answer them for you. So
you got it. We got to keep it on brand, Tiffany. Okay, so they got a hashtag Ask Alba, just like we do on Twitter. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna ask Alba today in this interview. Okay.
Make sure you guys do that in the chats. Okay. So I love it so much. All right. So let me get some questions here. So let's start off the podcast like how I always like to start it off with anybody that comes on here. How, for like people that are not aware of you, like how did you get into wrestling?
October 5th, 1997, I saw this larger-than-life guy rip a door off a Hell in a Cell, and I heard this man yell, "That's got to be Kane, that's got to be Kane." And I was hooked. I was totally hooked. It was this whole idea of seeing almost a comic book come to life, and I was enamored. And then when The Rock really hit his stride, the charisma, I had just never been drawn to someone like that before. And those perfect storm elements combining together, when I saw those things project themselves, they really resonated with me for some reason. And ever since then, you know, I think most people know this, but I'm a sportscaster, a real-life television sportscaster, and integrating pro wrestling, which is sports entertainment, hasn't always been the easiest thing to convey to people, but I find such this great blend of the storytelling elements and the athletic elements and all of those things coming together. It's everything that appeals to me wrapped up in one. So I think that's what really drew me to pro wrestling.
I love it. I love wrestling. Wrestling's come such a far way. I mean, you know what? Let's segue into that, right? So, independent wrestling is huge. We love it, obviously. I love it here. It's changed drastically from when we were a kid to where it's at now, massively, right? I think you can agree with me with that. Between intergender wrestling, we have deathmatch wrestling, you have your technical, you have your high fly. It's just nonstop. Whatever you like you can find that kind of wrestling. Like, what's been some of your favorite parts about watching it evolve?
It's funny. I was someone who didn't pay a whole lot of attention to independent wrestling until I really started to get involved with it. So I started getting involved with it at the end of 2015. So going on 6 years now. And like I paid attention lightly
Hmm.
back when you had the days of Generico and Steen and Adam Cole and all that. But it wasn't something that I was super in tune with.
Hmm.
I was more in tune with the major promotions. But then once I started to get the appreciation for independent wrestling, working inside of it and working with these talents and seeing these talent grow on the national stage and as you said, be afforded some of these opportunities because of how much independent wrestling has grown, it really just hooked me and enamored me. And I think it's great to see that right now a talent can leave a major promotion and go out and make a legitimate living
Yeah.
on the independents. That was not something that happened all that long ago. Now you can do that. And I think that's a sign of how healthy the business has become. And it really was heating up and booming before this pandemic happened.
Right.
And I think it's a credit to a lot of the organizations who've managed to stay afloat by keeping themselves relevant on platforms like Fight TV or IWTV or any other streaming platforms where they're able to still get content out there because they've been forced to reinvent in turn as well. So it's constantly evolving. And I think that says a lot to the creativity that's going on in indie wrestling.
Oh man, it's so true. It's such a great thing. I love it. I mean, I think a lot of people, maybe not. I know like I have like got back into independent wrestling. Well, I didn't even know about it. It's about 7 years ago, I think it was. And now like I get it. Like I've made fun of my friends for I have one friend that he would travel all over the place for WWE, and I'm like, oh my god, like where are you getting all this money to like travel all over the place and like go to all these shows? I'm like, wow. It was like, but now I feel myself that I'm doing it myself, like driving to Jersey a lot
Yeah.
to watch some of the
Okay.
best wrestling.
Easy there. You got all snarky there. Like, I'm from Jersey. Yeah, okay. Us Jersey boys take that personal. So let's relax here a little bit, okay?
The typical New Yorker that I am, right? The typical New Yorker. Let me read some comments in the chat. Rob, we gave you a shout out earlier. He said, so much attractiveness on my screen. When are we going to see you shredding on the stage at the Pony again, handsome?
Man, I played in the Jersey Shore music scene for a long time, and man, do I miss it. It was some of the best times of my life, and that, honest to God, that was the catalyst for me getting into indie wrestling and performing because I no longer was performing on stage in a band setting, so I needed to get that performance outlet out somehow. So that's actually how I was driven to start working on the independent scene because that was still a performance avenue that fulfilled that for me.
Right.
So, listen, you want to hook me up there, Rob? I'm more than happy to swing by. And once the Pony gets going again, that was my favorite venue to play. So I'm all about that.
Everything pro wrestling, hashtag Axe Alba.
There we go.
I saw your recent tweet about WWE Raw. I know you're still a fan, but how would you improve the show to get interest back?
I think the one problem with Raw that I think everyone agrees with is just that it's too long. 3 hours is just too long. And immediately I would cut an hour off that, but that's not, you need to be realistic too. That's not going to happen. You know, NBC Universal has that contract with WWE that guarantees them a 3-hour show every single Monday night. So you're not going to change it. That's not going to alter it in any way. I think my problem with Monday Night Raw booking right now is that it just feels like it's treading water every single week. You're seeing the same matches every single week, and you can't advance story when you're getting the same stuff in different variations every single week, sometimes not even different variations. And I think that's really where the problem and the disconnect stems from for me, because that doesn't happen on NXT. It doesn't really happen on SmackDown either. Sometimes it does, but not to this degree that it's a turnoff for me. Listen, I've been watching Monday Night Raw since 1997, and it has just felt like such a struggle now more than ever to get through for me.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to read Justin's comment and then I'm going to like overlap onto that because he says, why do people like independent wrestling but not like WWE or Impact? Me, I was a big WWE fan And then I started getting into the indies, and with the fact that I feel like, again, that there is so much different kind of wrestling out there, I think that's what's kind of caught my eye. That, yeah, I can go to a 3-hour show, but maybe that promotion might not air again until like maybe like a month later, so I'm not being thrown in the face like you said, like 3 hours every week, a couple of times a week. So I lost my interest with WWE a couple of years ago, and I stopped watching because, just like you had just said, John, that you're getting like oversaturated with it, the storylines, or it's just...
Well, it's ironic because right now there's more wrestling on TV than there's ever been, but the audience is smaller than it's ever been.
Right.
So is the market justifying the means? I don't know. I don't think it is, but with that said, there's a ton of talented people on my TV every week, and I enjoy watching those talented people wrestle when they're given the opportunity to do that. So, yeah, it's this weird dynamic, right, of like trying to figure out, well, am I getting oversaturated? But also, I do really enjoy watching some of these people.
Right. Yeah, I like a lot of the people, too. I still love a lot of people in WWE. There's so much wrestling out there. It's like hard.
Yeah.
It's like you got to pick and choose sometimes. It's really hard between podcasting. I mean, you got to feel it too, right? Like, so you work and, you podcast, you go to shows, commentary, management, like it's impossible to watch everything, and you have to pick and choose. Like, how do you pick and choose? What do you watch? Yeah,
well, we have our podcast Living the Gimmick that drops every Tuesday, where myself and Doug McDonald and Josh Eisenberg, formerly of Chairshot Reality, do go through the week in wrestling. So you have to try to catch up and try to watch as much as you can. But at the same time, it's one of those things where I know that if I don't catch all of Raw, I can just go on the YouTube and catch a clip of it,
Right.
like because that's how we've been afforded these things now. Right. Indie wrestling, I do my best to catch up and watch when I can. I don't really sleep a whole lot, so it's not unusual for 2-3 in the morning for me to hop on IWTV and just kind of scrub through some stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much my way of just trying to catch up to things.
Yeah, definitely. It's evolved. I would probably use the word evolve a lot, because we didn't have this back then. We had AOL with the dial-up and and now it is, you have your Twitter, your Facebook, and everyone in groups that you can post.
Imagine explaining that to a 15-year-old WWE fan right now, what AOL dial-up is. Trying to watch wrestling. It's like unfathomable.
It totally is. I just saw another question. Okay, hashtag Axe Alba.
I love it.
Rob says, and it's funny because this was going to be actually one of my questions. His question is advice for new commentators, me, haha. But it's funny that you say that, because I had an opportunity a while ago to do commentary, and I was nervous as hell to do commentary. And I'm like, oh, this is just going to be bad. This is going to be wrong. I break forever. Obviously, I live the gimmick. EVP of giggles. I laugh at everything. And to try to keep that face, but that's just me. And you know what? I'm fine with that. And that's okay. But how do you, what's some tips that you would give somebody to sit down and do commentary and not break character?
My biggest piece of advice for anyone trying to do commentary, not just in pro wrestling, but in sports as well: preparation, preparation, preparation. You can never be too prepared. I see people all the time, and I get so turned off by it. It happens in normal sports commentary too, but especially pro wrestling commentary, where guys or girls just step up to the microphone and just talk. And I think that is just the most annoying, unserving way of telling stories and calling matches, because you're exposed. And a lot of times when that happens, you lose focus on what commentary should be, right? And commentary should be about enhancing the talent in the ring.
Right.
And telling their story. And you're doing a disservice to them if you're not prepared. You can never be too prepared. When I go calling pro wrestling shows, I will spend a week going through each match on the card, doing background research on each individual who's involved with the match, getting their height, their weight, their hometown, who they were trained by, their signature moves, their finishing moves, and any storyline stuff that I can weave into the equation. And once that happens, when I get to the event itself, I find every single person on the show in the locker room, and I pull them aside for 5 minutes, and I go, hey, this is what I've got on you. What else do I need to know about you? What else are you trying to get over? What else are you trying to let the audience know is important to you that will enhance you and make you look better? And I think if you do that, your preparation will show. And I do think that if you listen to any shows that I call, or if you listen to any sports that I call, I do think that does shine through, that I am prepared and ready. And I that's my biggest piece of advice. I got that from Ian Eagle, who is my mentor in this industry of professional broadcasting, and I believe one of the best sportscasters in the world today. And he's absolutely right. You can never be too prepared.
I love that answer. Even Rob wrote, he goes, damn, that's a good answer. Yeah, I love
He loves
it.
Ian Eagle too. I know that.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's so great. I mean, again, like I said, I had that opportunity. I don't know if I would want to do it again. I mean, hey, I always say it. I'm just a podcaster, and it's like, I feel like, you know, whatever I could do to get over independent wrestling. So, but I don't know if I do commentary again.
It's not easy. It's not easy. And pro wrestling commentary is a total another beast than traditional sports play-by-play, because traditional sports play-by-play, you're just calling the action, right?
Right.
And you're facilitating conversation. Whereas with pro wrestling, you're trying to get a story over.
Right.
And in the process, oh yeah, you got to call moves, and oh yeah, you got to call back to this character's previous actions and their motives, and it's a totally different animal.
Right. Definitely. And then with me, I think the other hard thing too is, like, I feel like I've made a lot of personal relationships too with a lot of wrestlers
You
and
got to
promoters.
check that on.
Yeah, it's hard. So I'm okay with just sitting here doing podcasts, you know, chatting it up and hearing the great stories, and watch you guys succeed at what you guys do. And, you know, I appreciate you guys for all of it. So let's dig into the Tony Deppin's Beerhaus. You did a beautiful promo announcing a match for Daniel Garcia, who I absolutely adore. And then you challenge him with the root of all evil, Charles Mason, aka one of my list of husbands.
Yeah, I don't think when that match was announced, I didn't think you'd be able to survive and actually get to the match.
Listen, him posting damn thirst traps ain't helping either. But no, but this was crazy. Like, let's talk a little bit about, like, from beginning to end of preparation for this, watching the match, getting involved, and being, you know, hit with Charles Mason. It's crazy. Like, talk me through it.
Where do you want to start?
Wherever you want to start.
Let's see. So, I mean, the Beerhaus show kind of came up pretty suddenly as a way to get some work who were going to be involved in another show. I was going to be involved in the other show. I was going to be calling that show, and it was evidently canceled. So I was contacted a couple weeks before Beerhaus, and they said, do you want to do something? I said, sure. Yeah, absolutely. What do you want to do? And they said, you get free pick. I was like, I get free pick of what I want to do? And they showed me who's on the show. And given my work with Limitless Wrestling, I'm extremely familiar with Daniel Garcia. I do think Daniel Garcia is genuinely one of the best in the world right now. And I'm like, you know what? I would kill to work with Daniel Garcia. They're like, okay, what do you want to do? I said, well, ask him if he wants to do an open challenge. So I asked him, and he said he's going to do an open challenge. I said, okay, well, I'm going to answer that open challenge. And you see, the thing is, Tiffany, he is one of the most decorated and truly incredible pro wrestlers on the scene right now. Yeah. He's got all that gold, C4, Limitless, everything. But he's going to lose that gold one day. And as the egomaniac that I am, I take that personally, because you can't parade yourself around and pretend to be you're all about the gold. I'm the gold chaser. I'm the title chaser. When you're going to lose your gold. And I ain't losing this. So I take that personally, and I wanted to teach him a lesson. Nothing personal against him, but his actions were personal against me, indirectly. So I wanted to teach him a lesson, and another guy that I'd become familiar with through Limitless was Charles Mason. And I was enamored with his work. I think he's a sick human being, but he's incredible, and he's intense, and he's focused. And I said, on behalf of Charles Mason, I'm going to answer this open challenge. And I know it's going to be a baller match, and things are going to be great, and we're going to teach him a lesson. So that's how the match came to be.
Ooh, such a great match. I'm telling you, like, I think it was probably like one of my favorite matches on the IWTV Collective, the showcase. I'm sorry.
I think a lot of people felt that way. I think the match that they had, I'll be real with you, I think in-ring wise, I think that was probably the best match I've ever been a part of in terms of the action that happened in the ring. And the end of it, I don't remember. Do you remember how it ended? I have no recollection of all how this thing ended. It's weird. Like, I was really hyped and getting into it, and then all of a sudden, next thing I know, it's over. And I'm back, and I'm kicking it, and I'm covering WrestleMania that night in the press box. Weird how it happened.
Oh, man, I can't. Poor. Oh, jeez. I can't. It was so good, but, like, to take a move from a wrestler, like, I can't even imagine. So, to, like, train for it and... Oh, my goodness.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, okay. We'll move on.
I have no recollection of anyone getting hurt at the end of that match.
Okay.
Or anything happening. I do know that my beloved Erica disappeared, and I had to send a search and rescue crew out for her. And then thankfully she was returned to me from Daniel Garcia, and I had to bathe her. It was this whole ordeal, and it's very weird.
Okay, so, but the collective, the showcase, everything was amazing. I love the fact that we had a lot of new indie guys coming up. I mean, it's crazy. I hate that people are saying the indies are dead, right? It's like the worst thing that everybody can kind of say. And somebody, I think it was Brad, was telling me a story how they kind of looked at it like, now we're getting a lot of signings, right, that are moving up. So you're getting your higher ups that are moving up, getting signed, whether it's AEW or NXT, wherever it is. And now we're getting a lot of the kids. And me, I can sit here, I can vouch for a lot of the H2O boys. Our boy Marcus Matters, who's been on the podcast. He went down with one booking, and then he wound up walking out with 4 bookings for the collective and the IWTV showcase, which is great. But, like, we're starting over, right? Like, we're rebuilding of what's going to happen in the future. So what do you think about all of this?
I think it's healthy for the business when you have talent move up, and then that opens doors for a new crop of talent. And that's what happens when it's the circle of life, if you will. You know, it allows these new talent to grab those opportunities that maybe, not that they were being held back, but maybe they weren't given a chance to showcase themselves because there were other prominent figures. Mm-hmm. And so when that happens, then they get that opportunity. And then some of those people who were at the big promotions will then leave, and then they'll come back on the scene.
Right. And
then they can enhance other talent in the process. And I think that's really good and healthy.
I love it. I love, like, Leo Rush, for example.
Leo Rush is a great example.
He's had some of the best, like, matches, like, coming back to the indies. Blake Christian, he just had a banger with Jon Alba. Like, I'm just excited. Sometimes I feel like, and I feel like this with AEW as well, with doing our AAP, is me, I get a little on the defense. Like, somebody leaves WWE, and then everybody's automatically like, oh, okay, they're going to get signed with AEW now, which isn't always the case. But like I said, I get into a little bit of defense because I'm like, okay, maybe they weren't one of my favorites in WWE at the time. But then AEW comes and does such a good storytelling and building the character that makes me fall in love with that character in AEW now. So you never know what's going to happen with talent, which is great. So, but who sticks out to you, like newcomer with, like I said, like the showcase collective? Is there anyone else up new that maybe you haven't seen, or maybe you've seen a little bit in the indies, but then they got showcased?
I mean, listen, I've said it. I think Daniel Garcia, as much as I don't like him right now, I think he is genuinely the best pro wrestler on the indies right now. he's main eventing the games we play for Limitless Wrestling against JD Drake, who I think is one of the great, and I know you're a big fan of JD Drake as well. I think JD Drake is incredible, and I'm glad that he's getting a little exposure on AEW right now. Lee Moriarty has really shot on the scene in the past few months, and he's the current independent wrestling champion, and for good reason. He's absolutely incredible. A guy that I recently discovered that I think has a lot of potential and is a very high ceiling is Robert Martyr. I think he's very talented. And my favorite tag team on the indies, even though I've had some rough run-ins with them, MSP. I think MSP is incredible. Yeah. And it's beyond me that they haven't been signed yet, because I think they certainly deserve to be. And Aiden Agro of MSP is actually the first guy I ever managed back when he was going under the ring name Amon Jordan. So personal close connection to them as well.
That's great. How is it like being a manager for for someone? Like, how do you get into that? Like, what do you need to do? Like, maybe for someone that would love to do that.
I was fortunate that I just kind of happened to be in the right place at the right time, working with a couple small promotions when I was up in New England, because I used to work in New England. And it led to me getting involved with Limitless from a promotional standpoint. And then I started talking to Randy Carver, the promoter, more, and said, hey, I think I can do this on a higher level. I think I can do this on a bigger stage. And, I had to go through a little bit of training of the do's and the do-nots of managing. And I kind of made myself a student of the game, where I just started watching a lot of these great managers, right? Paul Heyman. As much as I don't like him as a person, Jim Cornette, who indisputably is one of the best managers of all time, and so many others too. And just picking little things from them that I like and figuring that out. And my catalyst for getting involved in managing, I was interviewing Billy Gunn one time, and he said to me, you have a very punchable face. And I said, oh. He goes, no, listen, that's your moneymaker right there. People are going to want to pay money to see you get beat up. I said, maybe there's something to that. So, it's really been a lot of fun to channel that performance outlet like we talked about before. Mm-hmm. I love getting a rouse out of fans. Yeah. And I love getting a reaction out of people. And this Emmy Award-winning Jon Alba character is me turned up to 15. And it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. And right now, the main guy that I manage on the scene right now is Mac Daniels, who I have a very close personal connection with, because when I was up in New England, he was my personal trainer. And he wanted to get into pro wrestling, and I helped him get into that. So there's this real friendship and authentic connection between us. And it's really a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Oh, wow. I love that. It makes it easier, I'm sure, when you're friends first and then you go into like the business together. Like, that's great. Oh.
No, it does. And like one of the matches, we finally won our first match in Limitless Wrestling back in February. I had been winless in 5 years, and it was my first win finally. And I remember when we were doing the match, there were moments where nothing was planned. We just looked at each other and had that connection of, okay, I need to get on the apron right now and I need to go do this. And it was so natural. And I was like, okay, this is coming together now. This is really forming into a unit. And that made it a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Let's talk about Limitless, because it is like one of the up and coming promotions, I feel like, which is great. So actually, you got me into Limitless. I actually want to come up there. When we get a little bit better, I want to take a trip up there and come. And when you guys have fans again, so let's talk about it. Why should people watch Limitless? What's coming up? Let's talk about Mac Daniels, that he doesn't have a match on the card coming up, and that he will forcibly make his presence felt because he doesn't have a match. Like, let's talk about it.
So Limitless Wrestling, I think, is one of the craziest success stories in the history of independent pro wrestling, because you have this state, Maine, where like, what's going on in Maine, right? Like, not a whole lot. but yet you have this incredibly driven promoter in Randy Carver, who's just 24 years old, and for the past 5-6 years has built this promotion into, I believe, perhaps biasly, but from the talent that it gets and from the audience response, I believe it's genuinely one of the top promotions in the country. And it's viewed as such by a lot of the talent. I know that for a fact. And I think the growth of it has been incredible, and it has really risen to the occasion during this pandemic, putting out a lot of cool content on IWTV between Pandemic at the Dojo, The Road, and these pay-per-views that we've been putting on as well that are just top-tier pay-per-views. Every single Limitless champion has gone on to get signed by a major promotion. MJF, the first, he's done okay for himself, I think. Anthony Green, who's gone on to become August Gray in WWE. Christian Casanova, who got signed to NXT. And right now, the Limitless Wrestling Champion, Daniel Garcia, who we've spoken at length about. Yeah. I think it's genuinely one of the top promotions in the country. And we have our show, The Games We Play, May 7th on IWTV. JD Drake versus Daniel Garcia for the Limitless Wrestling Championship, which I promise you this is going to be, and I'm not speaking hyperbole here, I believe this is going to be one of the top 3 independent wrestling matches of the year.
Oh, I agree with you.
And my boy Mac Daniels, he and I won a pre-show match a couple months ago at Double Vision, and we sat out the last show because we were waiting for a chance to show ourselves on the main card, and we did not get the opportunity. So I have nicely asked for a match on this main card on May 7th on IWTV, and haven't gotten any message to my phone or anything like that, oddly enough. And I promise you, we will make our presence felt if we do not have a match.
I'm excited for it. I love that we've seen other people in Limitless too, which is nice. I mean, we've seen TJ Crawford's
he's awesome.
Fan
TJ,
of the
great.
Yeah, he's been on the podcast. I'm a good friend of his. Like he's amazing. Another talent like I feel should be signed. We've seen Charles Mason. We've seen Ken Broadway. Like there's a whole bunch of. I love it. Ava Everett. Like
Ken Broadway is going to be on The Games We Play, and he's awesome. No doubt about that. And again, you can check out The Road every single Wednesday. I know you've had a chance to watch The Road. It's a cool show, and it showcases a lot of talent. Almost like how AEW Dark showcases a lot of talent from around the indies. I think The Road does something somewhat similar.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. When I can catch it, I grab it so I can watch it, but I definitely want to watch this pay-per-view because I need... And shout out to Tom Customs for the lovely photo that he did for the Garcia and Drake. Like,
awesome.
He does such great work. I got to get him on the No Holds Network, No Hold Bar Network to chat with him because his work's amazing. But look how cool that is. I'm a big fan of Drake. I'm a big fan of Garcia. So I'm definitely stoked for this. Rob's in the chat. He said, Axe Alba, thank you for the time. Do the Nets finally bring us a championship?
I don't know, man. I don't know. They got to stay healthy. Got to stay healthy. If you can't stay healthy, you can't win. I covered the Orlando Magic here in Florida, and they couldn't stay healthy this year, and they ended up having to do a complete rebuild. So it's as long as you can stay healthy, and if they can, then I think they certainly have a shot to do it.
Yeah. Everything Pro Wrestling. Charles Mason just tweeted a good heel tweet. Yeah, I saw his heel tweet about the photographers that he's not crediting anybody or something. Oh man.
I'd have a talk with Charles Mason because I don't know. I think after what happened at Beer House, he and I might need to get on the same page.
Ooh. Well, I look forward to what comes of that. We have a fan tweet from Good Cop, Bad Cop. He says, with Jon Alba being an anagram of Lana Job, what do you make of her character, and how should WWE best utilize her?
Lana Job. That's interesting. I think Lana tries really hard, and I do think she cares a lot about improving, and I think she has made strides to improve. I don't really quite understand her character because it changes so much. But I think she's got this little act with Naomi right now where they're kind of doing the dancing stuff, and it's fun. So I don't really have too much of an issue with that. Right now I think the problem with WWE women's booking is there isn't an investment given to the women's division as a whole. There's a select number of women that get the investment, and then a lot of people are just kind of given a couple minutes of time, and that's really it. So I would like to see congruent storylines in the women's division where people who aren't involved with title chases are still getting a chance to be showcased. You have so many hours of programming, so utilize that.
Good answer. We have another fan tweet, actually, Bob, Culture Podcast. He goes, you already know the question. When is Jon Alba versus Chris Van Vliet Emmy on a ladder match? Give the fans what they want.
Do you know how many times I have to go to pro wrestling events and people come up to me and mistake me for Chris Van Vliet?
Oh, man.
Do you know how much that grinds my gears, Tiffany?
No.
Because listen, Chris Van Vliet. This is a guy who parades himself around in his fancy suits in Los Angeles, the city of angels. Look at me, I'm pumping iron, sweating steel with all these wrestlers and bodybuilders. I'm so handsome. I'm a former Cosmopolitan Bachelor of the Year. I've got 4 Emmys, all that, blah, 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 blah. He may have 4 regional Emmys. I've got a national Emmy. Okay? Those regional Emmys, they're tiny. Maybe because he's trying to overcompensate for something. I don't know. And if Chris Van Vliet ever wants to suit up and square up, well, yeah, he's a lot bigger and stronger than me. He is. But I'm way more involved in pro wrestling than this guy is. Yeah. So if he ever wants to, if any promotion ever out there wants to make this happen, I would happily team up with my best friend, Mac Daniels, against Chris Van Vliet and whoever the hell he wants to team up with. And prove to the internet wrestling community and wrestling fans around the country that I'm not a poor man's Chris Van Vliet. I'm Jon Alba, and that goes way further than being a poor man's Chris Van Vliet.
Ooh, I felt all of that. Okay, they're telling me to clip this. All right. Everything pro wrestling, #AxeAlba. Are you going to have any involvement with the Wrestling Code video game by Virtual Basement?
Oh, no, I have not been contacted about that. You know, you got to talk to my people, and I'll have my people talk to their people. If they want to do that, I'm open for business here.
Cool. Is there something that in wrestling that you haven't achieved that you would love to be a part of?
For the longest time, it had always been I wanted to be in a Royal Rumble match, and I got to do that last January, right before the pandemic, for Let's Wrestle, which is one of the development companies for Limitless Wrestling, and it was like the most fun I've ever had in my career. I managed half the match. We eliminated Anthony Green, August Gray. He chased me to the back, and then I came out as an entrant later in the match, and it was some of the most fun I've ever had. So that checked off a major bucket list item for me. I would love to take a bump in a WWE or AEW ring just to feel what that feels like. Just to kind of check that off. But no, I mean, I would certainly love to work in pro wrestling at a high level for a long time, and I enjoy it. You know, again, people may not realize this, but this is only part of my living. You know, I'm day to day, I'm a sportscaster on television who hosts a half-hour show, and it's a blast. It's a ton of fun, and pro wrestling for me just really fulfills that performance element and getting to really ingrain, and I enjoy covering it as well.
Yeah, love it. Give me one of your best road trip stories.
Ooh. Best road trip stories. I rode up to a Limitless show with the Prestige, Brett Ryan Gosling, and Channing Thomas, the natural Channing Thomas. And we were riding from Boston to Portland, and it was snowing horribly. Now, keep in mind, I worked in New England. I was getting snow every day, but I had moved to Florida. So this is my first time seeing snow in a long time. And it is snowstorming. And BRG's got this truck that he's driving us in. And he's just chatting it up. If you've ever watched anything BRG does, he's just chatting it up, blah, 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 blah. And we are like swerving on the road. And I am not a religious or spiritual man, but I'm like, man, if there is a higher power right now, by God, please keep us on this road. And we're just swerving. And I'm like trying to like insinuate, hey man, like maybe you just like slow down a little bit. And like, no, we're good. And I can see Channing is like sweating a little bit. He's like, no, we're good. And he's just talking it up. Oh, I was working at XWA show a week ago. And oh my goodness. I mean, visibility was non-existent and I was really concerned, but it spoke to his confidence. That is the confidence he exudes in the ring, the prestige or a team that I have my eyes on. And that was terrifying because I thought I was staring death right in the face. But you know what? It ended up being okay. So everything's fine. It's like that GIF of the dog sweating with the fire all around him. Everything is fine. That's what was happening.
Oh no. That is not fun to be driving in like horrible snow.
Oh, it's the worst.
Oh, like I know. Where did I go? I went to a show. I remember in Jersey. It was like starting to snow. By the time I left, I was scared in the car to like drive, and it's like impossible. And for anybody who like lives where it doesn't snow, California, Texas, whatever, like you guys don't know what we go through over here, and it's a scary situation. So, oof. But. So what do you like to do when you're not doing wrestling, you're not doing your sports casts? What do you like to do?
I'll be real, Tiffany. I don't have a lot of free time. I really don't have a lot of free time. I wish I did, and I wish I had a little more time to enjoy Florida because I live in frickin' Orlando. And what's there, to not enjoy in Orlando? I still love playing music when I can. I don't really get to watch too much TV. If I do, I love Food Network, like Guy Fieri. Like Guy Fieri's certainly my spirit animal. I like to think of myself as the Guy Fieri of pro wrestling, but I don't think the audience agrees with me on that. I enjoy going to the theme parks when I can. It's a nice little leisure thing for me, but unfortunately, I really don't have a ton of free time, and I wish I made some because, my day job, I could work 12 to 14 hours any given day, and then I'm doing pro wrestling stuff at night or whatever that may be. So, we just did a 4-hour watch along for Living the Gimmick, dropping our WrestleMania watch along of WrestleMania 19 that dropped today. And we do Patreon work there, patreon.com/Living the Gimmick. And that takes up a lot of my extra time. So there's just not really a whole lot of free time, unfortunately.
We'll talk about your podcast in a minute, but did you find even during the pandemic where we were all locked up, did you find any time for yourself, maybe you picked up a hobby or something in between in quarantine?
I was able to delve into some songwriting, which is something I really hadn't had a lot of time to do in the past few years. And I actually wrote a few songs that the band that I played with in Jersey, I'll plug them, Bobby Mahoney, and the Seventh Son over there, I wrote a song that he's going to be recording in the next probably year or so. They're working on a new record now. So that was kind of cool. Other than that, it was weird. It was very weird with the pandemic because I'm so go. And having to slow down for a little bit was really something I'm not used to.
Right.
So... But then again, I live in Florida where the pandemic doesn't exist, so that's just the reality. People just, it's the Wild West down here.
Right.
You can get vaccinated. I'm thankfully fully vaccinated, and I hope everyone out there who can chooses to.
Yeah, definitely. So now I'm fully vaccinated. So like I said, I hope, because I definitely do want to come up to Limitless. So that's definitely a bucket list for me because it's a lot. I wish I came down to Florida, but I told everybody.
It's so weird though. I don't want to say there's no good indie wrestling. I'm sure there is. I have yet to find great indie wrestling in Florida.
Really?
It's so weird because there's so much wrestling talent in this state.
Right.
And I've yet to find it. It's why I go up to New England to do those Limitless shows because it's so good. The New England scene and the tri-state area scene right now is so good.
Oh, yeah.
Especially New England. Between Blitzkrieg, Limitless, and beyond, those three promotions alone, and then you throw in like New England pro wrestling, and I mean all of it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, we had like the pandemic, and then it was funny because last year, what I wanted to do last year was I wanted to travel to promotions that I'd never been to. Beyond is wrestling's another bucket list of mine. So now it just started taking fans in again. So I definitely want to make a trip up there, especially again now I'm fully vaccinated. Maybe something in the summer that I could take a ride. I'm debating about taking a flight out to Texas because my birthday ICW is going to be there. So I want to go see our girl Casey there, and Brandon Kirk. So I definitely might want to do that. So I definitely, now things are starting to get a little bit better. So I'm hoping that I can do a little more traveling to check out new promotions. And I think that's one of the best thing is going to a new promotion and not really knowing anything and see the talent that maybe you didn't know existed.
Yeah.
So,
and Limitless shows are some of the most fun shows I've ever attended, period, with fans and everything. So once that gets going again, I can't wait. I mean, we're talking 400, 500, 600 fans, at these shows.
wow.
And come and getting them to go to Maine, to Portland, Maine. It's incredible. It's incredible. And the talent that comes through. I mean, you see the talent that comes through.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Wow, I didn't know it was like 400 fans that show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
These shows. I mean, if you go through the archives on IWTV, go through the shows, and you'll see the shows are packed.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I like to backlog. It's hard, like you said. It's like impossible. It's like every time you try to go back on something new comes out, and you want to go and like support that. It's really, really hard. I have like promoters hitting me up, and they're like, "You went to this promotion?" They're like, "I'm surprised." I'm like, "Listen, if I'm living the Queen of the Indies gimmick, I have to have an open mind." I was like, "I don't care what kind of wrestling style they have, but I like to be very open-minded when it comes to independent wrestling." So yeah, let's talk about your podcast. So Living the Gimmick. So for fans that aren't aware of it, what do you guys do? Obviously it drops every Tuesday. Where can they find it? Like, what do you guys talk about?
Yeah, anywhere you find podcasts, you can find Living the Gimmick. Myself and Doug McDonald have been doing it for 6 years now. We're approaching episode 300. It's a weekly podcast. We're very excited about that. And we cover the realm of pro wrestling with an entertaining spin. I think it's a very entertaining listen, where you have two people who bring really unique perspectives to pro wrestling and covering it, who have been inside the realm and the world of pro wrestling and breaking things down with some humor and a really entertaining, insightful spin. And we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Living the Gimmick, where for as low as $5 a month, you can get involved with that, and you get a ton of bonus content, preview shows, review shows for major pay-per-views. We have a Discord server where we play games online, Quiplash, Among Us, all that stuff. You get scoops. You get exclusive merchandise, roundtables, really fun stuff, and watch-alongs. We do monthly watch-alongs of retro shows, and quarterly we do a public watch-along. So we just did WrestleMania 19 that dropped today. That's available now, a 4-hour watch-along of one of the most famous WrestleManias of all time. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we interview guests, and rumor has it in the next week or so we may have a couple big AEW guests coming on, so be on the lookout for that.
Make sure you guys go subscribe and all that fun stuff to that. I put the link below on Twitter in the description for you guys, so you can go follow and make sure you go give some love. Conrad, Everything Pro Wrestling, #AskAlba. Who is your favorite tag team of all time?
I think the Hardy Boys. Yeah. The Hardys, I was so enamored with them as a kid, and Jeff, larger than life, obviously, in what he did. But Matt is just perennially one of the most underappreciated workers of all time. And I've been fortunate to get to know Matt Hardy a little bit over the years. And he's a stand-up dude and a true genius when it comes to character development in pro wrestling. And I think for those reasons, the Hardys are probably my favorite.
I like it. Have you ever had or one of those mark out moments when you met somebody before, and it's me, I remember when I first started doing a lot of the Under the Ropes, and I remember asking somebody, I was like, I get starstruck. Now I'm a lot better than where I was, and I think the best advice was, it's just time. It's just time. But there's probably always got to be like, you know, that one that you like, if you haven't met, or maybe you met and you just had that mark out moment for it.
Yeah, well, when you met me, your eyes were just so open wide you couldn't even get words out of your mouth. So it was crazy. So I appreciated that. You know, what I do for a living, where I'm interviewing pro athletes every single day, you know, it's you desensitize to that, and you realize that it's just them doing their job. And when I'm working in pro wrestling, you just realize it's their job. I'd say the one person that like really struck me when I met him, I mean, I totally kept my cool, but the gravitas of meeting him really it was not lost on me, was Ric Flair. And I was coming back from WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans, and me and my buddy were just waiting. Our flight had been delayed like 5 hours, so we were just chilling in the airport. And we were at the bar, and this guy just sat next to us. Ric freaking Flair.
How cool.
And I was like, well, I'm going to regret this if I don't say anything to him for the rest of my life. So I just turned to him and said, Rick, just want to let you know, man, really appreciate everything you've done for pro wrestling, and really grateful for this chance to shake your hand. We did, talked briefly, and that was that.
Wow. I like it. I still have like those moments, but like I said, I've gotten a lot better. Just time. So it's fun when I go with friends to the shows and they're nervous, and I like to throw them under the bus. I do. I throw them under the bus all the time. So like I'll drag people like, oh, come meet them, or so and so, and I'm like, they're like the nicest people ever, but it's a good feeling. It's great. So I have one final question for you. If you guys have any other questions, please drop them in the chat, and then we'll get all your Twitter and socials and all that stuff for everybody. So what's the end goal? Like, what do you want your legacy to be?
That's something that changes for me all the time, quite frankly. My end goal changes almost every day, and I see my career path sprout for Sports Network. I would love to achieve success in pro wrestling at a very high level. I would love to teach journalism at the secondary education level. There's a lot of things that I do. I think for me right now, my whole goal is just staying fulfilled with what I do, and right now I am fulfilled with what I do. You always got to stay hungry. You always got to want more. And truthfully, my biggest goal right now, make the match. Mac Daniels and I versus Chris Van Vliet and whoever the hell he wants to face.
I'll definitely.
I'm ready. I'll do that anywhere in the country. Just saying.
Make it happen. We're going to clip that part. We're going to shoot it. We're going to make it happen, guys. So make sure you hashtag it too. I love it. So. And
make sure you tag Chris Van Vliet and all that stuff.
I promise I definitely will. So tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, subscribe, all that fun stuff.
Sure. Well, you can find me on Twitter, where I'm certainly most active at Jon Alba, JONALBA, because H's are for losers, so get the hell out of here. You can find me on Facebook, Jon Alba Multimedia Journalist. And yeah, man, just check out Living the Gimmick every Tuesday. That drops for you. And I can't stress enough, Limitless Wrestling's my home promotion, and the games we play May 7th on IWTV. My boy Mac Daniels, the main attraction, will be on that show. And if he is not, I promise you, we will make our presence felt.
Ooh. So I'm excited for that. I'll definitely be watching. So guys, make sure you also subscribe to the IWTV. Make sure you tune on Wednesdays, 7 o'clock, right? 7 o'clock Eastern time. To watch The Road. So great shows, guys. You'll see people that I've had on Under the Ropes. If even if you've never seen some of the people, definitely go check it out. It's been fun. I've been enjoying it myself. So, but that is going to be all, guys. I want to thank Jon Alba for taking his time out of his busy schedule to come and chat with me, so you guys can get to know him. I'm excited for Limitless, all that fun stuff. So, I wish you best of luck. going forward. Can't wait to see you again in person. It will happen, and we'll take a picture. We're fully vaccinated, so we can take a picture. So we'll be good for that. So
I swear, if that's just your way of getting close to the Emmy, I'm not going to be okay with that. So just making this clear here, okay?
All right.
But I appreciate you having me on. It was a pleasure chatting with you, and I definitely look forward to when we'll be able to catch up at a show.
yes, definitely. Guys, thank you again for checking us out on the No Holds Barred Network. Again, make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and support independent wrestling, guys. And we'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.